Sabbath Church. Again, I would like to welcome everybody to Pathfinder Day as we celebrate the end of another great Pathfinder year. Before we get started on so, dear Jesus, thank you for this day. Thank you for bringing us all this evening. Please let your words flow through me, take away all my nerves, and just hope that we have a great Pathfinder Day. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. So I'm so glad that we all are back here to fellowship together, because honestly, this week for me has been very long. It began last Sunday with Pathfinder testing, and everybody was in their class A uniforms like we are today, and everybody was studying. And for me, it should have been a very stress-free day because I'm a master guide in training. I didn't have testing. But just remember that I said it should have been stressful. Then on to the rest of my week. I decided to work 10-hour days from Monday to Wednesday at my job. So, But to finish off my week, I was at my school on Thursday and Friday for my freshman orientation. It was very fun. I got to meet a lot of new people, make my schedule, and I got to explore the city. And I'm sure all of you guys have busy weeks too, so it's really good that we're here together. Now, back to the beginning of my week is how I got to the name of my sermon today. You need a test before you have a testimony. So as Sister Juanita said, I decided to join Brother Joynes and teach the Friend class. They are the best class and the brightest class because they have the best teachers, but they're also really nice people too. They have so much excitement and they absorb everything like sponges. And just finishing my Pathfinder year, I think like 2 years ago, I was willing to give them everything I had learned. So on testing day, they were super nervous, and understandably so. It was their first testing experience. And I didn't think I was going to be nervous, but I was just as nervous as they were. I was sitting during testing like, oh my gosh, are they going to remember everything we did over the entire year? And they aced it, you guys. My kids were so prepared. They told Miss Marion every knot, every verse, everything in the book. It was like, oh my gosh, we're going to be here forever. But they did it.
Amen.
And we finished. Amen. And all of their hard work paid off. And I was like reflecting on it, and I realized that it was a personal test and a spiritual test for me and my students. Though we all were though they all tested together, it was also an individual test for some of them. Some of them were nervous since it was going to be public speaking. Some were a little bit frustrated that they were going to be tested. They didn't know if they were prepared, and all of them were just nervous because they wanted to move on to the next class. And each of us had to step out in faith and believe that God will help us all overcome. And we've all heard the saying that God won't give us more than we can bear. And that's true because He's given each of us personal strength to get through every test that we have. And now that they've all passed, and I passed with them, we now have a personal testimony that we must be willing to share with you all. So it's important that when you have a test, you recognize that you're within it. It's also important to know that in all of our lives, God has already done all the pre-work to pave our way for our test. So while we're in it, we think that we planned everything out. But in all actuality, we only see the moment that we're in. So we need to trust God to see that He knows our beginning and our end, and that He's the person that knows it all. So, for example, I said earlier that I returned from orientation last night around 11, so I'm very sleepy. But I'm very excited. I love my school, and I bleed blue and gold now. But getting there was a lot of series of small tests through high school that I had to pass to get to where I am today. I had to do numerous extracurricular activities, perform exceptionally well in school, and remember numerous deadlines for my essays and scholarship applications. But I didn't notice what I had overcome until just yesterday. So just the perspective of God's handiwork in my life, here's the background. There are 600 freshman students in Pitt Swanson School of Engineering. And to me, my advisor said that's the small incoming class. I just graduated from a school with 22 seniors. So there's 600 people in one school. There's still 5 other schools at Pitt. So that's a lot of people for me. And as my advisor continued speaking, she started giving more statistics. She said that my class is one of the smartest classes that has ever entered for Pitt School of Engineering. Most people score average of 700 on both SAT sections, 31s on the ACT, and someone got a 6.0 on a 4.0 scale for their GPA. And I was sitting there like, my gosh. But what really got to me is what my personal advisor said. He told me, don't worry or stress. I'm one of the 600 people that got into the School of Engineering, but there are 300 people in the School of Arts and Sciences that were not able to be selected into the School of Engineering. So that actually means that out of 900 applicants, 300 didn't get in, and I was one of the blessed ones to get in. I was the chosen one, and that's only God. So I began realizing that me going to PATH has really nothing to do with me, but it's all God. He has chosen for me to be on this path, and I need to thank him for getting me there. He blessed my application and allowed the admissions directors to see my application in a special light. Now I see that everything he put me through high school was actually worth it to get to where I am today. Knowing that information actually made me feel grateful, humbled, and honored. It didn't make me feel like some other people at school where when they heard that some people only got a 700, I actually know that God has my back and I'm prepared for what I'm going to go through. So he pulled me through all my extracurriculars, all my honors and AP classes, juggled all my leadership roles, and now he's allowing me to attend my first choice. So I learned a lot of lessons along the way too. Lessons of perseverance, lessons of following through, lessons of proper communication, staying organized, starting my assignments earlier than necessary, and encouraging my friends and them encouraging me too. And most of all, lessons of prayer and asking God to help me. And, you guys are in this one, that there's a village around me and you guys are always willing to lend a helpful hand or a listening ear. So if you're in a test, remember that you have to lean on God to get through. And I know that because all throughout my senior year, I was constantly asking God for reassurance and strength to get through. His path is definitely the hardest option, but it's worth it. And using Bible texts like Philippians 4:13, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, to find your strength to push through and persevere. And also verses like 1 Peter 2:9, you are a chosen people, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, God's special possession, that you declare the praises of him who called you out of the darkness into his wonderful light, to remind you how special, blessed, and unique you are, that God has chosen to give you a path out of his love. These verses have helped me succeed through high school, and I'm sure they'll help me in college, and I hope they help you guys all on your path too. But I don't want you to think that the Lord's path will always be easy. You can ask my friends how much work, you can ask the friends class how much work we had to do to complete their books, learn new topics, and memorize verses. But God never does anything for us that we cannot handle. He said that he will never leave us or forsake us, but he will be right there with us during all of our tests. So I urge you to recognize the small tests in your life. Then rely on God during your tests. So one test for me recently while I was at orientation was saying hi to complete strangers, rooming with a girl that I've never met before, and picking classes that will determine the next 16 weeks of my life all by myself. And these weren't necessarily too big, but they're part of a larger plan that I know God has in store for me. And since I was able to see and pass the small ones, I know I will be prepared for the larger one that God has in store for me in the fall. The test I overcame at Pitt this week allowed me to stand here before you and give you my testimony. This helps me realize how amazing and wonderful God is, and hopefully sheds light for somebody else's test. So this was short, but I want to close with this. There's a song on Jay-Z's recent album that I really like called Smile. And he says, a loss is not a loss, it's a lesson. Appreciate the pain, it's a lesson. And what I get from that line, though it's a rap song, is that tests will be big, small, hard, and easy. You will stumble, you probably will lose something, but there's always something to gain. You have to appreciate and recognize that God put you through a test, and you have to remember what you've gone through, what you've learned. And once you make it through your test, you have to immediately thank God and share your testimony to give hope, motivation, and light to other people. Remember that your test might just be for you, but your testimony might help somebody else get through it. And if you're not a Jay-Z fan, you can read Philippians 4:13, 1 Peter 2:9, and the classic Jeremiah 29:11, for I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a hope in the future, to get through your test and share your testimony. Your test will allow you to have a testimony that will show someone that God's handiwork and will encourage them during the test. Remember your test, recognize it, pray through it, lean on God during the test, and give praise to him as soon as you get through it. In this, we can grow closer to God and make it to heaven. Thank you all, and God bless you.